Spreading the floor, episode 27. Welcome back, everyone, to the show, our humble listeners. There's been a lot more of you over the last couple of weeks, so I really appreciate the support. We'll be putting out beanies soon, as well as some shirts down the line. So I'll put I don't know how to set it up, but we'll figure out something. If you look on the Instagram or my Instagram or whatever else, I'll do a little bit of advertisement for those, and they'll be pretty inexpensive. So we got that coming along. So I really appreciate, and I'm sure Nigel does too, all the support that we've gotten recently. And I it sucks being over Zoom, but like what are you gonna do about it? We'll be back hopefully in person a little bit, here and there soon. But we're playing it by year, most kind of just because Corona coming in and again our schedules. I was supposed to start my job today, I didn't. So we got that coming up. But without further ado, Nige, we got some substantial NBA news to get into. So
Yeah, as always.
As always, there some weeks it's a little bit slower than others, but this week it's actually the NBA gods have blessed us with some really really good news. I figure first though, to kind of get like the most topical subject out of the way first. Did you watch the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. card? I know you saw the Nate Robinson knockout, but did you at
Yeah.
all? Did you actually like order it? Because I just streamed it illegally, but did you actually catch the fight?
I didn't order it, but I watched it afterwards. The Mike Tyson fight was a little bit slow, in my opinion,
Yeah,
but I did watch the Nate Robinson fight. That was kind of fun. Did not expect that at all.
you didn't expect
But
Nate Robinson to get laid out.
what did you think was gonna happen?
I thought he was going to get laid out, but not laid out in the way that he actually got laid out. You know what I mean? Like I thought that I thought it was going to be a technical knockout for Jake Paul because Jake Paul's a bigger guy. He sparred with pros. He's just over. I mean, Jake Paul's like 6'1". Nate Robinson, he won the dunk contest 3 times, but he's 5'9", and Jake
Yeah,
has like a 6-inch reach advantage. So I didn't think it was really going to go, Nate Robinson's way in any way, shape, or form. But I didn't expect him to get put on. Like he literally, it looked like he got shot. It looked like
yeah,
he
for
got
real.
like you just whop, and then Nate Robinson just face down on the canvas.
Yeah,
And what really disturbed me afterwards, and it's something that I wanted to bring this up first because I wanted to talk about this. The NBA's response to that, the NBA community. One of which was actually it was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, like the one that Steph did, where Nate Robinson texted or like tweeted him immediately before the fight, and he was like, "I'm gonna rock the world, bro," or like, "I'm gonna shake the world," or surprise everyone. And then immediately after he got knocked out, Steph replied, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't see any lies." I'm like, that was pretty funny, but everyone else, like, I feel like I backed Nate Robinson in this fight because he's part of the NBA community, like, and we report on it. I consider us to be like, if we're gonna choose sides, I don't like really Jake Paul anyways. I don't think he's a likable dude, but like Nate Robinson is from our collective family. So I was kind of a little bit disturbed by the reaction of everyone just kind of immediately turning and saying, well, what did you think was going to happen? It takes balls, and it's something that actually Gilbert Arenas, he came out on Twitter and he defended him, and he got shit too. He brought up a good point. It takes balls to get in there, man. And to go up against a guy in Jake Paul that's like 6'1", he's yoked. He's actually boxed with professional guys. Nate Robinson doesn't have any professional experience, even though he's an athlete. I thought it took balls. So I was kind of like a little bit off put by the reaction of all these NBA stars. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Excuse me.
Um, yeah. I mean, like, because Nate Robinson before he went in, he was talking about, "Oh, I'm gonna do this for the NBA family." I thought that would have been sweet if he would have won. It's just, the truth of the matter is he's kind of went in there and looked pretty dumb. Like Jake Paul, at the end of the day, he's a YouTuber, he's a Vine. He got his popularity from doing Vines, and then he just completely laid this, 3-time dunk champion out on the floor. I think that he should have got more support. Just in general, you shouldn't really make fun of someone who gets hurt. Like he was holding the back of his head.
Yeah, he
It
was good. He was out for a
kind of
good 2 minutes
dangerous.
too. That's
Yeah, it looked
also
kind of
something else.
dangerous. Jake Paul's also half his age. I get what you're talking about. That takes balls to go into the ring, but also to do what he did, it kind of looked like it was stupid, and it kind of made him look kind of stupid. So I agree with you. I do think that he should have got more more props. But where's the line between bravery and just being plain out dumb?
Well, yeah,
Um,
on the same
you know,
sword, like part of the reason why it made him look so brave is because of the stupidity aspect of it. Like I can also understand what you're saying in that again, he's going up against a guy that has what Nate Robinson's 5'9", 5'8", Jake Paul's like 6'1", so that's a 4 or 5 inch difference in height, and he's half his age. So that by definition, fighting someone like that, like you wouldn't go up to someone at a bar and poke them if they're like, you know what I'm saying, 6'4", 380, and be like, you want to like tussle. You don't, that doesn't
yeah,
happen. So I understand what you're saying. I don't know. I just thought that like there should have been more reactions like Gilbert Arenas, where it's like he gives a guy. I think it was Jamal Crawford too. Jamal Crawford came out and defended him a little bit. I just wanted to see more like that. Like yeah,
yeah,
sure, you kind of look like an idiot. You ate canvas, like big time ate canvas two or three times, but
yeah,
if he's doing it for the NBA family, like even if you fail at something, I think you should at least get props. And it definitely doesn't help. And also to Nate Robinson's credit, I know he went in and he took it like a man. So, props to him. I don't know. It was weird to me. I know everyone has their jokes, but and also like Jake Paul, it's crazy to think that he's a Viner and a YouTube, like you said, a YouTube star, and he's going out there just flattening 3-time all dunk contest winners out like it's nothing.
yeah,
Um,
for real.
yeah, he's not doing that shit to LeBron though. I know he doesn't want any part of that
No,
LeBron smoke. But
no, definitely not.
yeah, wild event. Good fights. Good fights. I had that in the UFC on, so I was kind of chilling with that. But a very very scary time. You know,
That was the best fight of the night, wasn't it? Is that what the general consensus was?
I think so. That's what they were talking about. I did a little bit of research to see like the consensus feeling about this, and that was what it was. That's what First Take was talking about. That's what I think Undisputed was talking about a little bit. So everyone, I think it's safe to say. I mean, the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight was pretty good. It was like slow, but I mean, they're 54 and 51. So what do you really expect? I saw flashes of their old selves, but at the end of the day, they're old dudes. So it's
Yeah,
like, what do you really expect? But yeah, I'd say Nate Robinson getting what just a face full of canvas was probably the highlight of the night. Pretty much throughout the entire card, there were solid fights. But yeah, that definitely
yeah,
made obviously headlines because I mean, there's so much hype around it, anyways. A lot of people were going into that fight most likely to watch Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul. So I don't think anyone was there to like, just sure people wanted to come see Mike Tyson, but they also had the no knockdown rule and all that. And if a cut happened, then it stopped. So I don't think a lot of people were really hyped about that part of it. But definitely the Jake Paul and Nate Robinson fight was pretty hyped.
yeah. No, that was definitely what I was waiting for. Yeah, it hasn't been a bad winter as far as sports go.
Yeah,
Like it's been interesting, especially COVID and the football scene and stuff. But the NBA is coming back and did what December 22nd, I think the preseason starts.
yeah, about 22 days now, or that was yesterday or today. It's 22 days. I can't remember which.
Might be 23 days. But yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I cannot wait for the NBA season to start up again. I'm excited to see, how these trades pan out. And we're gonna have the season starting back up. I wonder how they're gonna do, stadiums and stuff. What do you think?
Well, I know my Oklahoma City Thunder, has said that they don't want fans in the stadium anymore. They kind of reversed their statement on that. Originally, they were planning to have, I think it was like the same MO with a lot of other teams where it's like, reduced capacity and other such things like that. But now they're not having any fans in there to even begin with. So I think they're going to go backwards. They're going to begin the season with no fans and then go forward from that point. I do think, though, I was thinking about that. I was kind of pondering this before the podcast. I think we're going to see last year, and I'll say it a million times on this podcast, last year was such a treat for us
Yeah,
as NBA fans, us as podcasters, everyone as NBA fans. We got to see a great competitive NBA with a great finish in Kobe's memory for LeBron, for AD. I think this year we're going to see a similar, but in the same way, different NBA. And that branches into what we were going to talk about later with Boogie Cousins going to Houston and Bogdanovich adding a lot of scoring to an already pretty potent Atlanta team. But I think we're going to see a very, very interesting NBA this year. It's certainly a way more fleshed out Eastern Conference. with, you still got the top dogs there, but there's going to be a lot of competition down low now, which is not something you could necessarily say in past seasons. So I'm really excited to watch. And then the West, I hate to say the West might be a little bit predictable. I don't know.
I mean, it's always predictable. There's always a certain aspect of predictability. But what's exciting is that the teams in the East are just, they usually just don't have stars. You know what I'm saying? There's just really not that many notable people in the East, and that changes this year. The West is still pretty stacked and everything, but the East, you're gonna get KD, Kyrie, you're gonna get your boys on the Heat. You still got Giannis and all that, and you're just adding people to the Hawks. You're gonna have some new names popping up here and there. We got a couple of big men signing new contracts, so it's definitely the NBA is progressing. The start of the decade, we started off with a bang. Now we're gonna see if they can continue that. A lot of people were complaining about, especially a lot of NBA players were complaining about the short off season.
Yeah.
But me and you talked about it. They had like a 4 or 5 month hiatus. When the whole Corona thing first started going down.
It would have been working out anyways. I mean, I don't see the problem with that. I mean, obviously, we're not professional athletes. We don't get paid to dribble a basketball. We're sitting here talking about professional athletes that get paid to dribble a basketball. But, I don't see the problem. I mean, they do pro runs anyway. Like, I've been watching actually something that I've been really getting into is watching, like, all these guys train. And because I have to, for the podcast editing, like, I'll have to do B-roll. And I'll just watch J-Law pro basketball runs with Jeremy Lin, Montrezl Harrell. So these guys are working out anyways. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to me like it's that big of an issue. Like, you get paid. I'm not saying to any extent of like shut up and dribble. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want anyone to think that is what I'm saying. But, you do, there is way better recovery science, way better everything. I mean, an athlete can stay in their prime. The same thing kind of situation with John Wall that we were talking about. You don't think he's going to come back 100%. I think the same technology that allows these guys to have such a short off season and come back ready to go, I think it's the same thing. I think that these guys will be fine. I think we'll see more competitive basketball. We saw obviously a Lakers team that reloaded. There's a lot of questions around that Clippers team now, which we could get into later. I've been hearing rumors that Lou Williams might be out the door and that the Clippers might be disbanding, for lack of a better term. But I think it should be fine. I think we should be in for a really interesting NBA this year, and different in a lot of ways. But I think it'll have a strong. Do we want to call this the new era of the NBA, Nige?
It is a new era, man, because kind of go off eras, they usually last around almost a decade, 8-9 years usually, and it's usually based off just the most dominant teams and players within that span. And we've seen a big shift after the fall of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
The rise of the re-rise of the Lakers, and stuff like that. We're seeing a lot of different. There's a lot of different power. What do they call power vacuums? There's a lot of different power vacuums that teams are starting to fill up, and it's starting to flesh up. I would say that this is a new era.
Yeah.
This is something.
I was going to say this might be the sophomore test for the NBA, because I'm thinking about it in terms of when we started doing the podcast, like we've been here. That was their freshman year, and their freshman year was fantastic. Right. Now they got to follow it up with a strong sophomore year. I don't want to see a lot of players and that, again, we'll get into Boogie later, but I hope guys like Boogie don't go down a lot, and we see everyone stays healthy, and that could also be another problem presented. I mean, we're here talking about. I don't think it'll be an issue. That could be another problem presented by a shortened off season, is that we might see more injuries, but time will tell. I think if everything goes according to plan, which it almost never does in professional sports, but as long as everything kind of goes 75% according to plan, we should be okay, and we should be in for a really, really neat NBA to watch.
Yeah. Well, think about a team like the Knicks. Hasn't played since last March.
That's true. There are other teams that are kind of trash bags, and they just haven't really gotten the opportunity to get into the playoffs and have that extent. Yeah, so that's true. Those teams might actually have a little bit of an advantage this year.
And then you got to think about the New Orleans Pelicans didn't make the playoffs. They haven't played since when? When did the playoffs start this year?
They were in the play-ins.
They're in the play-ins, yeah, but they didn't really.
After that, yeah, they had a lot of they had more rest comparative to the Lakers.
The Suns haven't played since before the playoffs.
Even though they went
And,
8-0 in the bubble.
The only real teams that there were only really two teams that were playing basketball relatively recently, and they were playing well, but Jimmy Butler is probably still sore from that game. But I mean, being realistic, the majority of the NBA, probably 90% of the 95% of the NBA hasn't played in a game in months and is probably ready to come back. Not only that is that hiatus they took before that where they were just sitting around at home. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. They need to get their monies out of these players, and I agree with that. I think that anyone who's getting a break, vacation taken away from them or their vacation shortened is going to complain. I think that's just how it goes. I would complain too if my vacation was being shortened, but these guys got to get back on the court eventually. And as an NBA fan, I'm excited. I'm saying I'm ready to see opening day.
Do you only watch NBA or do you watch any other sports? I know you kind of dabble with baseball, but you said you only really go to baseball games, right? So NBA is like your main jam.
I watch college basketball. Is probably my favorite type of basketball. I like watching college basketball. I like watching NBA, like you say. And I will watch a baseball game. I prefer to go in person, like any sport, but I do like baseball. Football is okay here as long as if my friends are watching, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's one of
What
those
about
sports.
you? I know you like UFC.
I've been watching a lot of UFC. I've been mostly watching I've been watching a lot more college basketball. Like I watched I think it was Gonzaga. I can't remember I know it was Gonzaga versus someone. I watched a lot of the 2K Empire Classic. That was really cool. And then I'm remembering from the weekend, I didn't catch those games because I was working on stuff, but I know that a lot of teams, there was a lot of upsets within the college scene. So college is also kind of shaping up. A lot of guys to watch too. I know something Suggs coming out of high school. I think he plays for, I can't remember. I honestly, like, I'll watch. For me, college basketball, it's a great watch, but I'll watch it. Yeah, I'm not going to go outside of my wheelhouse just to watch it. And for me, NBA is the sport that I can actually, besides the UFC, sit down and physically watch an entire game. Even if it's like, if nothing else is on, I might be able to watch a Kings game in its entirety. And I know that's sacrilege because we've shot on them in the past on this podcast, but yeah, I NBA is really the only sport for me, and I need it as you do to return. But I figure, with all this being said, talking about this new NBA, can we talk about? Let's start in the West because it seems like, again, the NBA gods have blessed us, and that we divided it into two different Western, the conferences. So we got the Western Conference first. We can talk about Ingram signing a max extension and Boogie to the Rockets. So what do we want to start with first?
I was gonna talk about Ingram a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Nigel. You lead us off on this segment, man.
I mean, they gave him the max.
158.
He came out. He performed. I'm not sure he 100% deserved that much. That's it. They gave him a big contract.
You don't think he deserved the max?
Is it a 5 year?
It is $158 million. It's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
For a 5 year, $158 million.
Yeah, they're gonna have him there for a long time, and I don't know if he has proven that he is going to pan out over that 5 years. Just in my opinion, if I was GM, he's a great player. He won Most Improved, but I'm not sure if I was that GM, I'd be like, yes, I want this guy here for another 5 years. Like, he is going to turn into something amazing.
Can you walk me through that mind process?
But,
yeah. Can you walk me through that mind process? Because I would argue the contrary. Now, I know obviously things can get in the way, like injuries and all that stuff, but he's shown us that he could be. He was Most Improved Player, as you said last year, and he's shown us that he can improve. He's shown us that he can keep on building. Now, to me, him and the team around him have only gotten better. So I don't see any reason, and I actually like the Pelicans coming into this year too. I don't see any reason why he can't get better. But if you know something I don't know, Nigel, what makes you so keen on not giving these or this man Brandon Ingram the extension, the max, besides injury, because that's kind of a given.
I mean, I don't want to sound like an Ingram hater, but it's just like I've been watching the kid for a while, and he's been progressing kind of slow. I mean, that Pelican squad is good. Maybe he's doing it. I'm just scared that he's only doing well because he's no longer in the limelight. You know, he's no longer with the Lakers, which is fine. If that's enough to make someone do well, so be it. But I don't know if he's completely convinced me that I need that heavy of a contract on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what's gonna happen 3 years from now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're already going to jump the gun. If that's what they needed to give him in order for him to stay, maybe, I'm not sure, but I don't know if I would have went for 5 years. It just, you know, they're locking him down. It's a good move, but at the end of the day, is like, do you want to give him such a large contract to try to be trading away and stuff, like,
That's
just in
true.
case they do trade him in the future? You know, you got to think about what that's going to be like. What makes you think that he's going to be like a superstar NBA player?
Oh, I don't know. The more I think about it, he did kind of just get nice out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you know, he doesn't, you're right. He has I'd actually wager the opposite. On the Lakers, you know, he had so much pressure on him because he was part of that team that was ridiculed, criticized. Like, he was a young talent, sure, but he got a lot of criticism. I think and obviously he was a part of that deal with Lonzo and the guys that got shipped off. I think now that the spotlight has shifted a little bit and we're starting to see him get more praise, I think the spotlight is still on him. Um, and it's something that I kind of you brought up a good point there, that, you know, now he has more of, I think he has more of a focus on him this year, but I think the focus is solely more positive. And I think that could kind of be viewed as a positive correlation. Like, the more positive attention he gets, say, in getting most improved player, the better he will get, excuse me. Whereas last year, you know, I'll call to mind, you know, I'm pretty sure, not last year, excuse me, the year before that, when he was on the Lakers, LeBron, that was the year before that, correct?
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of this last season, which, you know, went on for very long.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's been there
It
for a
feels like
while
two
now.
seasons ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, he there was a lot of negative. I mean, there was a point at which LeBron, you know, all the trade rumors got out, so that negatively affects his. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I kind of agree with you. You don't want to maybe lock him down to 5 years. Maybe you give him less money, maybe not quite a max, but I certainly think that if you're the Pelicans and you're a young team and you know that this guy has been cast away, but now he's fitting in well to the system, he's improving every day, he's playing like a champ, he's hitting game winners. You know, maybe you don't give him that much money, but I don't also see a reason why you shouldn't give him that amount of money. You know, I don't hate giving him a max extension. I think if you want to talk about what he deserves, there's a world in which I think you could give him a max, because I feel like if you have such a successful team like the Pelicans, like, and you have Zion there, you have Lonzo there, Lonzo doesn't deserve a max, at least not in my opinion.
No.
Zion, we didn't see enough of him. He played like a champ when we saw him. He averaged 20 points per game, but we haven't, again, seen enough of him. He could be a future player that gets a max for sure, in my personal opinion. You know, everyone on that team is great, but out of all of them, I'd say Brandon Ingram is probably the best option right now. And this is just me going off the top of the dome. I could be spitting madness
No, I
right now,
agree.
but
I agree.
you know, this is the most of this guy that we've seen. So if you want to offer someone a max, if you want to keep that, and I feel like in some certain senses, when you offer someone a max, you're kind of keeping the team around. You know, you're trying to build up this system. I don't hate it, but I also agree with you. It's just we haven't seen a lot, and he kind of got nice out of nowhere. But I don't hate the fact that the Pelicans are hedging their bets here. So that's my essay response to that, basically.
Yeah. Well, you also got to think of, you know, not only are they giving him the max, but what does that say about that franchise? You know, they are 100% committing to their young squad, to growing. They're not trying to pick up any superstars. They're not trying to win now.
True.
It shows that they are 100% committed to playing the long haul and building through the draft. And because of that, they're only going to get better. I really hope it works out for them, though, because they're banking on Brandon Ingram, they're banking on Zion Williamson, they're banking on Lonzo Ball, which isn't a bad trio to bank on. But, you know, you got it. There's got to be a lot of things that fall into place before that pays off. You know, they got a long way
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a chance.
Oh, is it a chance? It's really only worked like maybe once or twice in the history of the NBA where you just purely go off the, like the Golden State Warriors. Like
Right.
that was a chance. That 2015 championship was built off, just banking on your younger players, building through the draft. And it doesn't work that often, but when it works, and I hope that it plays out for them in the long run. I hope that it goes.
Well, we've also sung this team's praises. I mean, I remember back on certain podcasts. I'm not trying to call you out here, Nigel, but you've also, I mean, the Pelicans were your favorites. I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I
careful.
like the Pelicans. I like
Yeah.
them.
I
I
think
like
didn't
them.
you have them? I could be wrong about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had them in the playoffs because this was last year. You had them in the playoffs from that time frame within the next 2 or 3 years, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know, or
I
even within
had,
that. I don't know.
I think I had their, yeah, I don't know. I like the Pelicans. I think they have the most potential out of all
Mm.
the young teams, definitely. And the only reason I'm criticizing is just because I'm looking for something to criticize about. If we're being
We gotta
honest,
we gotta do
they
this.
have,
That's part of our job.
yeah, they have the best odds to really make something great out of all the young teams.
No.
And they have a really great young core. Ingram's going to do great things. I hope, but this is not enough. I'm saying he still has to continue getting better
Yeah. Well,
over that
obviously
5 year
now,
period.
even now that even more now that he signed the max.
Yeah, and I just hope one day that championship window opens up, because that's rare when it does. It doesn't happen to all the teams. But one day maybe that championship window will open up, and they'll have a chance to go in and do something great. And I hope Ingram can be a part of that.
Yeah, I don't see any reason. This might be a little bit of a hot take. I don't see any reason why they might not be able to sneak in this year. And I'm sure I need to look more into the
Sneak into
West.
what?
Oh, no, I was gonna say maybe they could sneak in because they were right on the cusp of the playoffs last year in the West. But you got in the West now, you got the Lakers. I don't know about the Clippers because the Clippers have been up in the air this offseason pretty much. You got the Jazz. Jazz are very formidable. The Nuggets. I don't know.
I mean, listen, New Orleans is fine where they are right now. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to get too good too
Don't
quick.
overextend themselves.
Yeah, they can keep getting those medium tier draft picks and be fine. You know what I'm saying? They're not in any position where they need to hurry up. I mean, they can play the long haul. Get these kids the training that they need and the experience that they need. Get the pieces that you need. And when the championship window opens up, it's going to open up. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen naturally. But they're in no rush. They don't need to try to get above fifth seed. They don't need to try to make it past the first round
Oh,
of the playoffs. That's not their goal. It's not a ring or bust season for them. They got plenty of time. They got about 5 years until we're gonna be like, well, okay, well now what's going on? You know what I'm saying? This should start paying off by now. They got a while. They can take their time. I think they should really just play the long game, play the slow game. Don't give Zion too many minutes. Don't give Ingram too many minutes. You know what I'm saying? Just like let them grow. Let them get better.
I think the way you let them grow is giving them more minutes. Honestly, if you have a young team like that, like because I think what you're saying is right. You don't have to worry about getting even into the I don't know, they might, for me, they might finish like seventh, eighth, ninth. You can get into the playoffs, but don't worry about it. You should be focusing on player development growth. I think the best way to do that is get them reps. So
Yeah.
I
Well, don't overplay them is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, don't
Don't just leave your
overextend.
starters and trying to get the win.
That's true because they also have, if I'm remembering correctly, their depth isn't terrible.
Yeah.
Um, so they're definitely up there with like the Bulls, promising young teams, I think, and I also do think though that while they're not, I don't think they touch top five. It depends though, because we'll talk about this more later with the Houston Rockets this season. I don't know I was very confused with the Houston Rockets because I was thinking about it before the show, but we'll talk about that in a second. With the Houston Rockets potentially out of the picture, that's a bold statement. But if Harden leaves, depending on what Boogie does with his legs, I don't see a reason why the Pelicans can't squeak in there. Hot
I
take.
mean, if you're just gonna assume that the Pelicans are gonna swap spots with the Lakers. I mean, with the Lakers, with the
Oh no, I don't
Rockets.
think they'll swap spots, but I mean, there's going to be. I mean, if the Rockets have always been in the playoffs, so that's a vacancy spot. We
Yeah.
don't know. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that because the Rockets, I think, were fourth seed last year. Could be wrong. They finished at the fourth seed. I'm something like that, something in that range. But I don't think that the Pelicans are going to make it into the fourth or fifth seed, save some absolute miracle or some wild occurrence where one of like Utah, doesn't have any star players because all of them go down. But like outside of that, Pelicans will finish a lot better than they did last year. And not a lot better because they already made it into the playoffs last year.
They're going to get a couple wins. They're going to get a couple extra wins.
I think so. I think really, if you go off of what happened last year and they've only gotten better, I don't see any reason why they can't make it to the playoffs and go for like not a deep playoff run, but something slight, something light.
Yeah.
Maybe a little first round, second round exit if they're lucky. Who knows?
Yeah, like we said, they don't really. It's not. They don't need to be pushing it this year. You know what I'm saying it's not really something that they need to be worrying about too much. But Boogie went to the Rockets. I was confused as to what was going on with that franchise.
How'd you feel about that?
Harden said he wanted out. Westbrook said he wanted out. It seems like by signing Boogie, they're trying to fix the problem while the ship is falling apart. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're in the hull of the ship.
They got
and a water spout bucket comes out, and they put a Band-Aid on it, cover it up, and then like 3 more sprouts come up. You know what I'm saying? So the ship is finally given away. We knew it was coming for a little while. The championship window was definitely closing for a while now, and I think this year was definitely evident that it wasn't open anymore.
You think it's done?
Yeah, I think it's been done. They committed to this style of play that a lot of people criticized, didn't think it was going to work, and you know what? It didn't really work. They did better when they had Capella and Chris Paul and everything. So they really, they took a chance. They knew, hey, it's either going to work this year or it's not going to work at all. And then we got to start, thinking about our future. And it didn't work, and that's fair enough. That's the game of basketball. Harden doesn't want to waste away over there. He wants to move on. Same thing with Westbrook. Westbrook knows that his days are numbered. So I don't blame him. I say they get rid of those two for tons of draft picks and just start rebuilding. Maybe they sign Steven Adams or something from OKC.
Oh no, Steven Adams on the Pelicans now. That's another thing.
Oh, that's
too.
right. He went to the Pelicans.
Stevie Adams on the Pels, so that's another reason they could be making it into the playoffs. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Nige. And if you really think about it, right, Harden, Russell Westbrook, and now Boogie Cousins. Isn't this basically just a B-Tech version of Harden, CP3, and Capella? Isn't this the new management coming in and being like, oh, like we can still do this, da 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 da, and like. Obviously, Boogie's a great center. He's offensively, he's very well rounded, better than Capella in my personal opinion. Offensively, not as good of a pick and roll big as Capella was. But again, you have, if you're going to hold on, this is why there's so many question marks around Houston at the moment. We don't know where Harden's going. We don't know where Russ is going. The only thing we know is that Boogie Cousins has signed a 1-year deal. And I actually, in terms of signing sake, I don't hate the deal. It's a low risk thing. You sign him for a year, considering he's had so many injuries. But, I'm watching all these ESPN First Take, Undisputed. They bring up a great point, Nige. If this man can come back at 70 or 80%, and I feel like I say this for all the players that get injured, if he can come back and play 70 or 80% of what he used to, I think he's going to be a very serviceable big for Houston. If he can't, then yeah, their window is done. It's a whole lot of things, right? Because if you have Boogie playing like a champ, and say Russell Westbrook leaves and Harden decides to stay, because they have Daniel House, they still have PJ Tucker, they still have a solid group of guys. It's not like they're obviously, Harden's the face of that team, and Russell Westbrook's another personality that's going to attract a lot of attention. But under the surface there, I don't think their team's terrible. Definitely not. I think there's it's a very fragile setup. And I don't know if they signed Boogie Cousins with the intention of holding on to Russell Westbrook and Harden, or getting rid of one or the other or both. That's where my questions come from. It's like, what are we going to see with this Harden team, or the Rockets team? It is Harden's team still, but are we going to see a Harden and Boogie pairing? Because that might actually be a playoff team in my personal opinion. Not the same with Russell Westbrook and Boogie, not the same without Russell Westbrook, Harden, and just Boogie. It's very fragile for me. So I was very confused, same as you, to find that they had signed him. I mean, he's a good big, but it's just a lot of fragility around the situation at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of a panic mode, tossing dollars out type of thing, which never really seemed to pan out that well. I don't know, Boogie at this point, he's been out of the league so long, he's been injured, so many times in a row that if he came back 80%, that'd be a miracle in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
legs
I
up.
mean, yeah, for real. And even so, even let's say Boogie comes back at 100%, you got to stack that starting five up against the Lakers, the Clippers,
Yeah,
the Jazz. Do they really compare where it counts? I mean, we just saw them get absolutely bullied in the post last year during the playoffs.
yeah. Well, that's because
So
they had PJ Tucker starting at center.
yeah, well, I mean, there you go. So if Jamarcus Cousins can't come out and play the majority of the game because he's going to be on limited minutes, if he can't come out and then be out rebounding Anthony Davis, then it's just not. We're going to see a repeat. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how healthy he is. You know what I'm saying?
I thought they'd be a playoff team. I don't think they'd be a finals team at all. I just think
Yeah.
that it's like you said, it's like a half baked attempt in my personal opinion. It's like what are we really doing here, gentlemen? What are we doing here, boys? Why
Yeah.
is this a thing? I don't hate the signing, but the entire situation, once you look at it from a bubble perspective, not to make a pun, if you look at it from a bubble perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
It just something seems off about that.
I wish the
Okay.
best for the guy though.
Yeah, yeah. Like
He was a good center at one point. He was one of the best in the league.
he's just kind of like is Boogie an asshole? I don't know. Like I never can tell. I feel like he can be, but he's not all the time. I don't. It's weird. He goes in and out. Like I want to like him, but then he does some stuff, and it's like, I think he's just a tough dude. I think he, he's obviously just a very. He kind of rubs me the wrong way sometimes. But again, I don't know the guy personally, but I wish nothing but the best for him because he's like you said, he's very talented.
Yeah, he's definitely got a temper.
Yeah,
Uh, Definitely got a temper. But I mean, if we've seen anything from some plays in his past, he really does play his heart out.
yeah, yeah. Wait,
He puts his 100% in.
that could just be also too. I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt here. That could just be passion.
Yeah.
That I think maybe he's just maybe a fiery person. I don't know. I don't know the guy personally, but I've seen some things where it's like, oh boy. Um. Okay,
Yeah, Boogie. Cause I've seen him throw some people on the floor, man.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. He has like the temper of Serge Ibaka, but he actually doesn't miss. Like he actually has hands. Like
Yeah.
Serge
Well,
Ibaka gets mad and then he like whiffs on every punch. Like he's Serge
yeah.
Ibaka with hands. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he's definitely gotten more humble as his career has went on.
Yeah.
Um, when he made that move to leave New Orleans and leave Anthony Davis by himself, I wasn't crazy about that move.
Remember that, man? Whew. Well, what a long time ago.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis wore Boogie's jersey during the All-Star game actually, as like I said, because that's when Boogie went down with his first injury, and then he was kind of like showing him respect, and then right after that, DeMarcus Cousins left New Orleans. I forgot exactly where he went, but
Golden State, I think. Yeah,
was that the Warriors trade?
I think that was.
I don't know if that was. I'm not. You know what?
I mean, I'll check it.
We're
But I
gonna have
know
to,
that a lot of
look
people
that up, Jamie.
look that up, Jamie.
Yeah.
We gotta get a producer like Jamie. Just have him in the corner. Like, look that up.
Yeah.
Some guy's like, yeah. All right, 1 second. Let me see. Marcus Cousins trade. Okay. Sacramento, okay, to the New Orleans Pelicans. I gotta look up DeMarcus Cousins' different teams, but I also know that like a lot of people thought he was ring chasing for a while. Remember that?
I mean,
That's when he went.
yeah, I don't disagree with that 100%. It
Yeah,
obviously hasn't worked out for him, but
yeah, that was okay. So he played 2 years in New Orleans, and then he went over to Golden State in 2018. So
yeah,
that was the Golden State trade. Um, or he might have been a free agent. I can't remember, but yeah, he a lot of people did not view him favorably. It's what could have been with AD and Boogie. I think that would have been a potent connection. Obviously, it was for the short time that we had it, a very very potent big connection. And then now cut to now, and one is injured, and the other one just won an NBA Finals,
yeah,
and we're seeing DeMarcus Cousins come back into the NBA and put on the Houston Rockets jersey. that's why it's a weird style of season, really. You know, when you think about it this year, because again, it's coming off of a great year, but it's just little weird stuff like that where you have DeMarcus Cousins coming back. You have the pretty much the people that are notable on the Golden State Warriors coming back. So it's all like it's all culminating into a nice little odd thing that I'm going to be very interested to see. But I really quick wanted to talk about the East. We could start off with Bam Adebayo signing a max extension. His was also 5 years, and I have it here in my notes. 1 second. I have it here. Bam Adebayo, max extension. He signed for, I know it was 5 years. I think it was $163 million. Yes. So he also signed a max deal. I do not know what this means for Miami now, because I know we're talking about a lot, talk about this a lot on other podcasts where you think that Giannis might go to Miami. And a lot of people were talking about, hey, if Bam signs this max extension, which he did, what does this mean for the cap space? Because now if they want to go after Giannis, I mean, Giannis is a big Bucks player, not to make another pun, but he's a big Bucks player. He requires money. And dude, I'm like 2 for 2 with the puns today, man.
Yo, you were on fire today, man.
Coop from
you
3.
Are on fire today.
Coop from deep, bang.
Yeah, for real.
No, I think I think they're gonna have to get rid of, obviously, like, they have such a talented roster, and the East has gotten more competitive, obviously, but they had a very obviously talented and competitive roster. They made it to the finals last year. Some people think it was a fluke. I tend not to think so. But the thing with that comes with that is what happens when it's time to reload. Obviously, like, I think this move by Miami is saying, hey, we're good with the guys that we already have. We're going to try to make another run with these people instead of going after a big market, because they re-signed some of the same guys. It was more minor stuff. Like, I'm not to say that Goran Dragic was minor, but they also re-signed Myers Leonard. He was a great presence for the team, even though he didn't really get time during the playoffs. He didn't get play time, and he served more as a mentor than anything else on the sideline. So everything that Miami has done, and I think it's good that they locked up Bam. I mean, he's obviously a very talented guy. Didn't really show up in the playoffs, but I don't know if I would have given him a max. But I think what Miami is doing is solid for the moment, but I have questions now for the future. Because who knows what will happen with the East? The East might get more competitive. We don't know. That was my only thing right. with the max extension. Everything else was
Yeah, well, what you got to think is, what you got to do. Well, what I think you should do, compares to the Ingram trade. Not the Ingram trade. Sorry, the
max extension.
Max, yeah. You got to compare him to Ingram. Did he deserve it? More than Ingram. You got to think. Ingram in his situations, he showed a lot of signs of becoming a great player, and he made a lot of great improvements. Did he deserve it at the end of the day? Probably yes. However, Miami, while Bam may not have shown the same kind of flashes, same kind of promising stuff, is they found success with him in that position. They really went far with him, with him there.
True. Yeah, during the regular season, he was money.
Yeah, and he also had one of the best playoff blocks of all time.
True.
Period.
It's true. He was instrumental in that Celtics series. Not to cut you off again. My apologies.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, he was. I think he did great things, and not only that, it's like they by signing him to a max, they're making a statement. They say, we are happy, like you said, we are happy where our players are right now. And I think they want to make sure that they keep that team integrity. And I think that he is essential to that team integrity. He is important to that. And I think that whatever they had this year, whatever magic spark they found, I think that's what they're going to try to catch going into next season. And I think by signing Bam to a max, I think that was part of it.
So what do you think? What are your expectations for the Heat next season? Nostradamus Nigel here. That's got it. No, that's a thing now. Nostradamus Nigel.
I think that I don't see why we would expect them to do any better or any worse.
Same thing.
I don't see why they can't just, because they on paper they really shouldn't have made it to the finals last season. I think that's true going forward into this season. Whatever team's in the way, they're the Heat are probably not going to match up with them evenly. But then you got to think of like, okay, well, they're gonna, they're gonna go out there and perform. They could easily prove you wrong on any given night. So I don't see why they would do any worse, but I also don't see they haven't given me any reason to think that they could do any better. Do I see another finals appearance from them with this roster?
Nah, especially not in
No,
the East this year.
no. But let's be real, I didn't see one from them last year either.
That's
So
true. They were my dark horse pick, and
yeah,
I feel like they'd be a similar. To basically what you said, Nigel, just a similar situation. They would probably could be in that consideration for a dark horse pick this year as well.
yeah. So I don't see why I wouldn't hold them to do any worse or any better. I wouldn't bet against them, but I also probably wouldn't bet on them either.
So you just wouldn't put money down on the Heat. What if you know what? I feel like the Heat are one of those teams where you got to see them, like with the you're right. The entire season last year, nobody really felt like, we knew that they were a great team, not a great team, good team. By the end, we knew they were great. But, for me personally, right, and we talked about it in the podcast, okay, they're my dark horse pick. Then they get to the Bucks series. Okay, they're not going to do it. It'll be a competitive series. Oh, 3-1. Oh,
Right.
oh, what happened with that? Oh, they roll on, they absolutely annihilate the Pacers before that. Oh shit, what's going on? Oh, they're in the finals now. So it's all of that. I just don't know if I agree with you. I don't know if they're going to be able to re-up this year. It's going to be very tricky with the East this year. I don't know.
They haven't really gotten better over the off season.
They didn't. They just lateral moved basically.
Yeah, exactly. And but they made the finals last year, so you got to make the argument of, do they need to get better?
Yeah. I still
You,
think you can make that argument because again, the East has become slightly more competitive, but that's still a slightly more competitive East. Like you have the same players in there, and then you have some other guys that are still willing to stay and hang and bang with the best of them now. I think you definitely need to do more, whether it be slightly more or a lot more. I'm not sure.
yeah. Well, you also, I mean, you're making an assumption that Atlanta is going to step up to the plate. You're making the assumption that Katie and Kyrie are going to come back at 100%. You're making the assumption that the Bucks have gotten better
Yeah,
than a
it's true. That's
gentleman's
true.
sweep.
That's
You
true.
know what I'm saying? There's got to be a lot of things that happen in order for the Heat to not be able to stay up to their expectations from last year.
Hmm.
Um, and you know what? It's unpredictable. But if you want my predictions right now, I say they go. I say they put in the long haul, and they make another deep playoff run. I don't know if the finals,
Finals.
but I say they make
Yeah,
another deep playoff run.
deep playoff run. I think. Yeah. I think we're on the same page with that. It's interesting
Yeah,
that you brought that up though. On the same end of at this in the same way that we have some teams at the bottom of the conference that have gotten markedly better. We also have some teams at the top of the conference that we don't know about. Namely, we'll talk about Atlanta signing Bogdanovich finally in a second, and a lot of the moves that they've made, but also the Bucks. We don't know if Drew Holiday has we've seen him pan out, and I know Danny was on our show. He was kind of like singing Drew's praises, but we don't know if he's going to pan out in that Bucks system. We don't know about certain teams like the Pacers, what they're going to do. I mean, they still have. There's still so many question marks. I don't know.
yeah,
But with that, let's just kind of just hop into Atlanta now. Because
sure.
we talked about it on the last show, but now they've added officially Bogdanovich, which is
Yeah.
one of the best. I mean, Atlanta right now, their bench is ridiculous. Their starting five is pretty ridiculous. It's scoring. There's a veteran presence. There's mentoring. There's defense now. There's a guy that can help Trey out in the backcourt in Rajon Rondo, obviously. And then if you're Atlanta and you're able to sneak into the playoffs, and then you have playoff Rondo there and Trey Young, I mean, you know what? You think about it like this. If you're Atlanta and you do the bare minimum to get into the playoffs are another beast entirely, especially when you have, again, playoff Rondo on your team. I'm excited to see this Atlanta team. I think they do good things in the East. I know a lot of people are thinking that they don't. I don't think they finished top 5, but I definitely give them like the 5 to 8 spot easily. I think
Yeah.
that they could. I mean, it's a big jump. It's a big jump, sure.
I don't see why they couldn't hit 4 or 5 seed.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, look, Trey Young has gotten better every year.
Yeah.
Okay, and if he gets better again this year, which would be following the trend, I don't see why they couldn't hit fifth seed, at least. Now, I also think that they are banking on the fact that Trae Young is going to become a superstar, which I agree with. I do think that he's going to be the next Steph Curry, in other words,
Yeah.
in as loose quotes as I possibly can. But I do think that he will be that player, be that shooter. I think he's going to reach that level. I don't know if he's going to see quite as much success in the future, but because that's a lot to live up to. But
Trey.
I do think Trae Young's going to be very good. Yeah. Um,
Well,
but I
based
think they're that's all they need. That's all they only need him to continue getting better, and then they got it. You know what I'm saying?
true, true. Well, based off of what we were talking about earlier with Brandon Ingram, I mean, if you look at the two players, Trae Young has definitely had the better progression over the course of his time in the league. I mean, I'm talking about comparatively from start to finish. If you sync it up, if you do it like a start and a finish line, Trae Young has by far had better progression. So I think it's a safer bet. I think it's a safer bet to bank on a guy like Trae Young than Brandon Ingram. Even though Brandon Ingram's been fantastic, he played fantastic last year. I think it's a safe bet. I'm going to go out and say that it's a safe bet to bank on Trae Young the way he is now and to build a team around him, which is basically what Atlanta has done through the draft and through free agency. I think that's at least I think that's what they're doing, or they're just making a mega. I mean, but that seems like, and especially picking up Rondo to get in that backcourt with him and give him, obviously tons and tons of experience and advice. I mean, it seems like that's what they're going for. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
you know, there's everything kind of points, like all signs point to the fact that this Atlanta team is going to be dirty on paper. Again, on
I
paper,
think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be very good. I
you
think
know.
they're going to rise to the top of the East. I
Yeah.
think they're going to make some eyebrows raise.
And also, I should say that I'm a bit of what's the word for it? I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Lost my train of thought for a second there. I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I've said things about the Nets team where I want to know if it's going to work. It's a lot of mouths to feed. It could be a similar situation to that. Like, again, I shouldn't be the guy, and I'm usually not the guy to go off of what a team looks like on paper, but definitely a lot of for Atlanta. It's a lot of, they had a lot of room to play with. They were at the bottom of the conference, and they really went and they did things like they got Bogdanovich, they got Rondo, they got Gallinari. He's going to be great coming off the bench. He's going to be great in a pick and pop with Trent. It's just every move they've made is pointing to the fact that it's going to be a great team. And I guess you could say the same with the Nets too. They picked up Kyrie and KD. I mean, two of the best, or could be considered in that conversation for the best offensive players in the NBA. So it's a similar situation, but I don't know, something about Atlanta. Something about it. I just have a good feeling about them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't shake
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, they're humble players. We're not talking about Katie and Kyrie now. We're
That's true.
talking about Trae Young. We're talking about Drew Holiday. We're talking about guys like that. Um,
That's
I
true.
hope what I think they need two things to make this work going into the decade. They need to have that Miami Heat dog mentality,
Of course.
and they
Every team should
need
have
Trae
that.
Young, right? And they need Trae Young to become a superstar, which he is already on his way, well on his way to becoming.
Okay. Yeah.
If they get those two things, they're looking at a dynasty.
Yeah. Dynasty. Well, in the coming years, yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
about automatically dynasty this year, but I don't think that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure that's what he's like. Automatic. If Trae Young gets a better over the course of the season, automatic Golden State Warriors chip team. I'm like, whoa, Nigel, whoa. No,
Well, his 3-pointer is looking very nice.
it's looking
His
very
ball
sexy.
handling is looking very nice. I don't see why he can't. Why his ceiling isn't to. I say his ceiling is being better than Curry. I think at Trae Young's best,
Yeah.
he's better than Steph Curry.
Yeah, on a player to player basis, yes. He
In
can
my
be. He can
opinion,
be. No, I agree with you. In that
he
area,
could
he
he
can
could
definitely be
he
better than
could
Curry.
actually be the real fucking deal. Like no joke. Like actually you know what I'm saying? Like he might actually fuck around and become better than Steph Curry, which is a lot.
Nigel got hyped. Oh my god, he said no fucking.
Like no, but for serious, like a lot of people say that, like, oh, he's the next Steph Curry. Like no. Trae Young might actually be better than Steph Curry one day. I don't see why it's impossible.
I don't see that. That's a
And
very
that's
that's a
that's scary to
possibility for
think
sure.
about.
That's very
That's
scary.
scary to think about. You know.
Yeah, dude,
So
he's gonna revolutionize pulling up from near half court. You know what I mean? Like before
Yeah.
he went from taking those deep range threes and not making them to scooting in a little bit, making those threes and then scooting back out. Now he's getting progressively farther and farther away. He's a great offensive talent.
Oh
Great,
yeah.
great, great offensive talent. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
agree. I don't see and obviously he's going to draw comparisons to Curry because his game sort of emulates Curry a little bit, but man, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
For real.
on a player-to-player basis, you'd almost be kind of daft not to realize the similarities between those two gentlemen. But yeah,
Uh,
I think. Do we want to give our? Do we already give our prediction for where Atlanta is going to fall in the Eastern Conference next year? We said 5 through 8, right? Or you even said like 4 through 5 potentially.
I'd give them. I might say 4 through 7. If we're gonna pick 3 spots, say
Okay,
4 through 7. In my opinion,
pick three
I
spots.
don't I don't think they sneak in the back end of the playoffs. I say that they grab their spot early and they kind of maintain mid-tier NBA Eastern Conference.
Do you think there's going to be a happy medium, or do you think it's going to be either da 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 or bust? Like, is it going to be 4 through 7 or bust? Or is it going to be like you could see them landing 4 through 7, but if they get the eighth, ninth, 10th spot, like that could happen as well.
I think that with the amount of hype they're getting this offseason, that if they don't get 4 through 7, but I just don't think that there's 7 teams better than them in the East.
7 teams better than them in the East. Well, who's in the East right now? Who's like I shouldn't say who's in the East, but who's popping in the East? Because you got like
You got the Raps, you got
Raps,
the
Celtics,
Bucks,
Bucks,
Celtics, Heat.
Heat. You want to put the Pacers in there? I don't. A lot of people like Orlando this year. I don't. I think Atlanta could easily beat out Orlando. Orlando always kind of makes it into the play, but I don't know.
I see Orlando, Pacers, Atlanta. I see them all kind of, this is their chance to prove themselves. But I see 4 teams that really may be better than the Atlanta Hawks this year, and that's it
Yeah,
in the East.
Heat, Raps, Celtics, Bucks. 76ers.
I put them in that kind of line. I
Yeah,
think on paper
yeah,
they are better. But I still think that there's a line of teams in the East that could just go anywhere.
yeah.
And I think
True.
anywhere between 4 and 8. And I think Atlanta's in that spot, but I think that they're gonna come up and really gonna make a splash.
I think so. I think Splat. Dude, I wish I had, yo. Oh my goodness. Once
The
I get better.
board,
Yeah,
the
the boys being
board.
guys being dudes. I wish I could get like the soundboard because I'll be able to purchase that one of these days, and we could actually have like sound effects over Zoom. And I totally would have just put in the Chris Smooth like splash.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, no, I think bright things ahead for Atlanta. Bright things ahead for the Eastern Conference here, and and with that we can round off the show. I wanted to kind of bring in two different little segments here, little segments.
yeah,
I wanted to talk real quick because we did talk about Clay last week. Clay is expected to make a full recovery. He is going into surgery, so I wanted to real quick obviously include that because it was devastating last week when he figured out about it, and I think he'll be getting a lot better now. I don't know if he's gonna. I don't think he'll be playing. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's all up in the air, but I'm happy that he's getting surgery. It's gonna be hopefully we could again see Clay back. Maybe it won't be like I was talking about it last episode. His career now that we always see him getting injured, but I just hope that we can see the same Clay that we saw, or at least somewhat of the same Clay. But happy for him, big
yeah,
wins,
for real.
and again, I think you surmised it great last episode when you said that guy's a warrior. Like he's not going anywhere. He's part of the Warriors, and he is a warrior. That's a third pun, and he's not going anywhere soon.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, I mean, I just want to see him back on his feet as soon as possible, obviously.
yeah,
And I think we're gonna see some good basketball once he is.
yeah, no, 100%. And then real quick before we end off the show, I thought it'd be fun if we could bring in something, and I wanted to talk about this because you've seen me play basketball. I've seen you play basketball, and be be careful with this segment because I've given this a great deal of thought. I figured we could come in here, we could do our real like based off of just our game on the courts, like when we're shooting around, what our NBA player comparisons were. Now I've if you want me to go first, I feel like I have a good read on you. Not
Go
just
ahead.
getting that smile going, not just like, yo, I'm about to cook the hell out of this man.
Nah, I'm thinking about it. Go ahead.
I think you are a really good mixture of like I see I got the one. You're very Chris Paul-esque because you like to pull up from mid-range a lot. You got that like
Yeah.
Chris Paul leaning stuff like you know what I'm saying? You're definitely and Chris Paul's pretty athletic. You've got the touch of Chris Paul in there. I'd say it's like a 50-50 split. Chris Paul. Have you dunked before?
Once a couple times. Yeah,
A couple
nothing in
times?
game though.
Nothing in
Only in
game. All right, all
practice.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like you're Chris Paul and you got that nice release. So I'd probably say you're like Chris Paul. I'll give you three ways. Chris Paul, Joe Harris, because you got the nice release and your shot is money. And like you got you know what? Kyrie, because you got that Kyrie layup like go below, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're Kyrie, Joe Harris, and Chris Paul. There you go.
The jelly.
The jelly, yeah, because
The
I've seen you
jelly
jelly
fam.
some stuff. Yeah, you laid up maybe Isaiah Washington, jelly fam. Who knows? He's not even an NBA player, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I see you. I mean, I definitely see you more, especially when you're in the court. You're definitely more of like a leader type.
What do you mean a leader?
Um, like like you don't mind, go ahead and if nothing's happening, you like kind of holding your guy back a little bit and grabbing for the ball, even if that means just passing it to an open man. You like that. I see a little bit of Carmelo in you, a little bit of Porzingis. We got to work on your finishing around the basket, but I definitely
That's
see
pretty
some of
tough.
that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, like taking that shot. No matter whether it goes in or not, you like taking that shot. I see some younger Carmelo and some Porzingis. You like taking that, whether the defender's in your face or not, you'll take it.
I'll just pull it from anywhere. I'm
Yeah,
pulling it from half.
you'll do it, and you know what, it'll fuck around and go in sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, late game
So
situations.
absolutely.
That was a really
So
great
yeah,
way.
no, you're
I was gonna say
you're
that
a
was a
solid
really
pickup.
nice way of saying that I don't shoot well. I am working on my shot. I'm working in the lab. I am working on my finishing around the rim. You know what I'm saying? I've been cashing out. I've been working on my step back a lot, but I appreciate the comparisons. I'm definitely more of like a I'm not even gonna say I'm a floor general because I don't direct traffic like that. But I'll get in there. I'll be a utility player. I'll grab boards. Maybe a mixture
Yeah,
of like what I was gonna say, like Tristan Thompson, just boards. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. You like seeing the offense revolve though. You know what I'm saying? You like being a part of that, and that's winning basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Just rotations, screens. I'll be setting a lot of picks. I'm definitely Contavious Caldwell Pope, where he just had that one game where he was like running and hacking.
Yeah,
He had like zeros on everything, but no, we're coming back, and we will get that. We will get that video where we go to the court and we drop people off. Because I'm telling you,
yeah,
Nigel, my step back now is deadly. Like my
yeah.
step
Well,
back is, you know what I'm saying, off the dribble. Like I could do it all.
I think I'm more comparable like Derrick Rose now, where every time I've been on a basketball court, I end up in a hospital.
Yeah, that's true too. That's
For
true.
real, bro. It's like what the hell happened?
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't, well, actually, people would know if they listen to the podcast. But that was Nigel was referring to the time where he got horrifically. I mean, just like Zaza Pachulia as he was going up for a layup, got elbowed in
Yeah,
the jaw, and then you bit your tongue, right?
pretty bad.
How is it now? How's it doing?
Pretty bad.
Because I know you got stitches.
Stitches are still in it. I'm off the pain medication. I'm off antibiotics, but stitches are still there. I still got a little bit of a lisp, as you could probably hear in the audio.
Oh, it sounded like regular
Uh,
Nigel.
and then also before that, during the summer, I had a third-degree sprain on my ankle.
It's true. Also going on for a
I
layup,
was in
right?
crutches for a month
Yeah,
after that.
yeah, I remember that. Well, we gotta go play in like a safe environment then. We
Yeah, bro.
we gotta be like no sideline fencing, just like straight just mattress cushioners on the side.
Yeah, I need to practice because you really get injured in basketball when you're not really used to playing it anymore.
Yeah,
When your body isn't used to taking the movements. I mean, I think that's why I got injured in the summer. I don't know if you could chalk that up for my most recent tongue injury, but
that was just. I know the guy that did it. It wasn't egregious, but in the same time,
no,
like I feel like if he didn't know you, is that the basis for hands if that happened if he didn't know you?
I was in no condition to be throwing hands with anybody after that. I'll tell you straight up, I was not having fun I was not happy. Look, no matter what, whether you know the guy or not, it was an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the guy's great.
We've all been in that
yeah.
position
Yeah.
before, you know.
Yeah.
But
Also, the guy was a pretty good. I mean, like we know the guy. We're not going to give away his identity, but he's just an overall athletic specimen. That guy, like he can just
oh,
play
yeah.
all sports. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he just plays sports. He was jumping up, grabbing rebounds and everything. So
Yeah, great player. But yeah, no. So I thought that'd be a little fun closing segment for the podcast. But it went for about an hour, 5 minutes. I like the pod today. It was nice. It was
good.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a laid back, chill pod.
Yeah, I like those. But we'll try to see if we can get, because that'll be next Monday. Or actually, we might start recording on. Well, I guess you guys wouldn't be able to tell the difference. We'd still upload it on Tuesdays, but we might change up our recording day so we can get you some good recording sessions in the city in a podcasting studio, which we might rent out. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But without further ado, that's been the podcast for today. It is the 30th of November. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys wouldn't mind, it is just a 3-second process to click subscribe, rate our podcast. You know, we have a growing audience and we love doing this. And our heart goes into it, man. I the amount of time we spend on this is great. So if you feel so inclined and you like what you're seeing, drop us a subscribe, drop us a rate, man. Whatever you can do, and it's all appreciated if you want to show the love too. And as I said again, I'll be follow Spread the Floor on podcast, or Spread the Floor pod on Instagram, and also Coop TV with 3 O's, and we'll be giving away some merch soon. We got that. We got actually a couple of suitors, Nigel. We got some forward traction. So it is our retro logo we're going to be starting out with. Mixed with old colorways and old stuff, old aspects from the old logos before we had this cover art. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, I will leave you guys to enjoy your Tuesday. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
All right.
Approve this message.
Nigel, Nostradamus Nigel. All right, guys. Peace.